Hey Rock Hill, Pastor Kyle with the sermon recap for this week. It's Wednesday, so I'm getting it out a little late. As you can hear from my voice, I've been battling a little illness. I don't know about you guys, but I have been really enjoying this Mothers of Jesus series because as we go through the stories of the women included in Jesus' genealogy, I just can't help but be blown away by the grace of God. It truly is astounding. What we see is not necessarily these beacons of moral virtue, but rather God's scandalous grace interrupting people's lives. We saw that a week and a half ago in Judah and Tamar's story. We saw that last week as we looked at the story of Rahab and how God used Rahab to help deliver the spies and give the people of the land into the hands of the Israelites. Rahab, upon hearing the stories, was a prostitute. But she chose to harbor the spies and protect them because she knew that God was God, that Yahweh was God, and that she was willing to bank her life on helping him and helping the people of God succeed. The story shows us a number of things. First is that God has an incredible heart for the Gentiles, for the nations. That Rahab is not only a prostitute, but she's a Canaanite, and yet she's grafted into the very people of God, into the messianic line of Jesus. That there is grace for sinners, that a life of a prostitute was not a morally virtuous life. And yet, in Rahab, you have grace upon grace in that God not only forgives her and welcomes her into the people of God, but she goes from a prostitute to a princess. She marries Salmon, who's the chief or the prince of the tribe of Judah, and they have a son whose name is Boaz that we'll read about this week in the story of Ruth. But what Rahab shows us is what genuine saving faith is. It is a belief, a confessional belief that moves you to action. It's a belief that moves from beyond intellectual assent to an active trust or a banking on that belief, a trust in the sweetness of that belief. And so her faith acted as she risked her life to help the people of God. And so we learn today what real, genuine, saving faith is. It's a faith that says, yes, I believe this, but a belief that causes us to act and to bank our lives on the fact of that belief, the truth of Jesus Christ. Without Rahab's greatest descendant, Jesus, we wouldn't be talking about her today. Rahab was a sinner in need of a great Savior, and God chose to include her in the people of God who would one day wait and hope for a great Savior whose name was Jesus Christ, who came out of her line, out of her ancestry, the Redeemer and the Savior of the world. That's how it ties to Christmas and how it's so beautiful. And so I don't know where you're at, but I do know that you're not beyond hope. You're not beyond redemption. You're not beyond restoration. And God may be right now calling you, moving you to an active faith that banks your life on the hope of Jesus Christ. Hope to see you again this week.